Hello, I'm Bernie Hayes. Today's guest is the Comptroller for the City of St. Louis, Darlene Green, today on The Bernie Hayes Show. Welcome back. I'm Bernie Hayes, and my guest is the Comptroller for the City of St. Louis, Ms. Darlene Green. Ms. Green, welcome.
Well, hello there. Glad to be here.
So good to see you.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
But every place I go, I see Darlene Green.
Well, it's a great community we have here, and it's always good to see you.
Well, it's good to see you, too. But you really make your rounds. I mean, you're not like some other city officials. You're not just locked up in your office all the time. You're really out with the people.
I am out with the people,
Yeah.
and I think that the people appreciate seeing me out and about. When I have meetings sometime, I'm meeting in one of our nicer places to meet. We've got so many historic places, like the downtown Union Station. I love meeting in that great hall there and just having a business meeting right there. And sometimes that's a refreshing feeling to, remove yourself from behind the desk and go and have a business meeting in one of our historic buildings.
That's wonderful. Your record for public service is impeccable, and I just want to say thank you so much for being who you are, and as long as you've been doing it.
I appreciate that. Public service is something that I love doing. I've been doing it for a long time, as you just said, and I believe I'm pretty good at it, serving the people, because, what I want to do and what I have been doing is making a difference.
Yes.
Being a public official means that I can make a difference for the people who live here in the city of St. Louis, the businesses that choose to stay in the city of St. Louis, so that we can become more vibrant and alive, and to make a difference in their lives, in their family lives, in the home. And so, the Comptroller's office is an office that's often looked at as kind of different. It's not the mayor, it's not a legislative position, so people sometimes don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. And the Comptroller is the watchdog over city tax dollars. Okay. It's the CFO of the city, Chief Financial Officer, and it happens to be an independent elected job. And I have been in that job now since 1995. I was elected in 1996 to serve a term that had been ended, and then I was elected again in 1997 for a full 4-year term. And so I've been blessed to be elected ever since. So I'm running for re-election now.
We've been blessed to have you.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm just so blessed that the people have elected me because they've seen the difference that I've made in the office. Mm-hmm. I went into that office, it had a triple B credit. It was an office, the city, not the office, had a triple B credit. The city had the triple B credit, which is bad credit, as well as it was only $1.5 million in the bank.
Wow.
Now we can say that there's $150 million.
$150 million.
$150 million in our reserves. And I say the bank, but I mean in our reserves.
Sure.
Because it's important to have reserves when you need them. This is about running a city. Running a city for nearly 300,000 people. Our population had been higher before, and we want to work to try to increase the population. We want to work to increase the home ownership of the population, and we want to increase the places for affordable housing as well. So that we want to work on those things so that this can be a place where people choose to come to live. We also want to work on things to where people who want to open a small business want to open a small business because they want to come to a place that respects them and that they can trust the government. So that's part of what I have been able to make a difference in the city of St. Louis is to help promote those kinds of things.
Board of B&A, Estimate and Apportionment, you sit on the board.
Absolutely.
And that's with the mayor and the president of the Board of Aldermen. So your duty is really to watch over them.
To watch over those tax dollars.
Sure.
You know, the people first is what my thought process has been as I serve.
Yeah.
I serve the people, and I serve in a way to meet the needs. You know, all needs are, met in one way or the other, but if I'm championing to meeting those needs, that goes a long way in making sure that the different agencies that are funded with federal dollars and other kinds of small businesses or larger business corporations are helping to meet the needs of the people. For example, as the CFO, I work with the mayor and I work with the president of the board on a board of estimate and apportionment, just like you mentioned. And I do sign the contracts and sign the leases. And I also get involved sometimes, not all the time, in helping those deals with the leases. For example, with Forest Park lease with the BJC, and now you see they're building on the top of where the garage, where they were leasing the land underground, they are now leasing the land atop. And this been some years ago where they leased that land.
It's Barnes Jewish Hospital.
Barnes Jewish Hospital, yes. And so we were approached about, the lease. And so I had the good fortune of speaking with the president at the time to renegotiate the lease so that I wanted to make sure that there was a benefit there for the community that wasn't there in the past. And what I mean by that, we knew that we were building 2 recreation centers, one north and one south. And those recreation centers was going to be and is managed by the YMCA, which meant that there was going to be a cost. And so in order to allow young people to be able to attend at a defrayed cost, I asked that we add $400,000 to the lease amount, an annual amount, and the BJC welcomed it because it was part of their philanthropic mission. And so now what we have is a $400,000 coming into the city every year to help defray the cost of young people attending these rec centers, both north and south. And that's kind of what I was saying about my reach and reaching the needs, because people, with young kids, they have a need to be going to places and having something to do. And there's nothing like going to a brand new recreation center and enjoying yourself. That's part of your vision. As part of my mission, that's part of my work, and that's part of the benefit that the community receives with somebody like me that's always thinking about reaching out to help working families in this community.
Ms. Green, I see you have some campaign literature. Okay, it says how Darlene Green is making a difference, the watchdog of our tax dollars.
Absolutely. As I mentioned, we have a AA credit. That AA credit for the city we haven't seen in 50 years, over 50 years. And that's good for any city to have better credit, because what that does, it decreases the cost of borrowing. And when we do these big projects, like you'll see in this next item here, well, one of the things we had was a $1.7 billion investment by the federal government to save, you remember the mapping agency is now the National Geospatial.
Right there on Jefferson.
Yeah, and so that helped us save the 3,000 jobs, the good credit. And people wonder, well, what do I mean? Well, what I mean is, as a CFO, I understood that Illinois was our biggest competition to get the relocation of the mapping or the geospatial. And Dick Durbin, a strong senator, was supportive. Our president at the time, Obama, was from Illinois. So we had to do some fancy footwork in St. Louis in order to keep that. And so one of the questions came up is, can we give the land that they wanted to locate, can we give it to them? Because Illinois, East St. Louis, they were going to give them the land over at Scott Air Force Base. They were going to give them the land. And I said, yes, we can, because we have good credit, and that means we can mortgage one of our buildings. Okay.
Well, let's take just a brief break here. Then we'll come back and talk about some wonderful things. Darlene Green, the controller for the city of St. Louis, is my guest, and she's running for re-election. And it's very important that you hear her story. We'll be right back after this.
Since 1972, New Life Evangelistic Center has been on the front lines, reaching out, helping the hurting, the homeless, the fatherless, the widowed throughout mid-America. Yes, although it's had its roots in St. Louis, it now has expanded throughout Mid-America into India and Africa, Haiti, and other places around the world. Oh, what a history New Life Evangelistic Center has. And we have many of these history books available to you, and they're right there on Amazon. And if we can help you get one of those, you contact us at 314-421-3020. But in addition to all that, we want to share a lot of that history with you right here as we take a look at how the work began and how the Lord has taken us throughout the years and the miracles that we have seen, all because of caring people like you. You're part of the history of the New Life Evangelistic Center. And we're believing that 2025 is the year that the center is going to become alive and seeing the Lord do exceedingly beyond we can even ask or think. We're on the verge of miracles. Yes, New Life Evangelistic Center has a rich history, but there's much more yet to come. And that's why I'm inviting you to familiarize yourself with the history of the past and be a part of the miracles of the present. Yes, let the Lord God Almighty work in you and through you. Let Him do exceedingly beyond what you can ask or think. He's got a purpose for you. And we want you to be able to live out that purpose as you get directly involved in the history of New Life Evangelistic Center and what the Lord is doing now.
Our Black history subject for today is Annie Lou Cooper, who was born in 1910. She registered to vote. She lived in Kentucky and Ohio, and she told friends and neighbors that she intended to vote in her hometown, Selma, Alabama, as well. But when she tried to register, the registrar told her she didn't pass the test. On January 25th, 1965, she had been standing in line for hours at the county courthouse. The police arrived to break up the activists, including the notorious local sheriff, Jim Clark. As she stood, Cooper uttered, "Nobody's afraid of them," and Clark poked Cooper in the neck with his billy club, and she spun around, giving him a hard right, knocking him to the ground. And the sheriff's deputies attacked her, arrested her, and charged her with criminal provocation. "I tried to be nonviolent," Cooper told Jet magazine, "but I just can't say I wouldn't do the same thing all over again if they treat me the brutish way that they did this time." Cooper died November the 10th in 2010.
When you partner with New Life Evangelistic Center, you impact so many people. The economy in this country is really hurting so many all over. And we're seeing the number of people who are experiencing homelessness rise. You can make a difference today by giving your gift online at newlifeevangelisticcenter.org. newlifeevangelisticcenter.org. Make a real big change in the lives of so many.
Welcome back. My guest is the Comptroller for the City of St. Louis, Darlene Green, and she's also up for re-election for that same office. Who is Darlene Green? How did you get involved in public service?
Well, you know, that's a good question. I have worked in private industry. That's how I started my career. But slowly but surely, I worked for the state as an auditor, and that was my first public job. And then when I came back to St. Louis, I worked at the circuit clerk's office in the 22nd Judicial Circuit Court. And so that was another public job, and from there I went across the street to City Hall as the budget director, and then from budget director I was appointed to Comptroller. I love public service. I've served in public service because I can see the difference that's made when I've made a lot of good decisions on behalf of taxpayers' dollars. Protecting the taxpayers' dollars, being a watchdog over taxpayers' dollars is very service. It's all about service. The job itself is about serving the public, making decisions on behalf of the public, and making those good decisions so that this city that we live in can have enough money to deliver the city services. You know, there absolutely needs to be a good amount of city services, you know, the adequate amount to deliver, and we have the dollars to do that. Right. And so that's a good part of my job, is protecting those dollars so that we can have the dollars to pick up the trash, have the dollars to fill the potholes, and do all of those city services that people deserve to have. We need to have our water system repaired. You know, the big pipes and all of those things need to be repaired about now. And we have some of those dollars and ready, but we have to put together a great financing plan to get started on it. And so as I, run for re-election, I am thinking about putting that plan together. I have a team already working on the financing plan, looking at how we can use the ramps money, looking at making sure that the rates that the people are already paying would be enough to help add to the financing so that we won't have to raise rates anymore. You know, I look at that because I'm always thinking about the people first. We still have to run the city, but we can't tax the people all the time to get these big things done. So I've worked, you know, tirelessly to make sure that I'm not always taxing. I've often put before the voters a no tax increase bond issue for equipment for public safety, because I support the raises of the police and the firemen. I support these bonds that are going to be there to pay for the equipment for firefighters, their safety equipment, as well as equipment for EMS and for our police, because they have to have that in order to serve the people in our communities, neighborhood by neighborhood. And you've got a controller that understands how to get those items, those safety items for our uniformed employees without raising taxes every time we need to do that.
Okay. Now, St. Louis is a municipal, it's a city in itself, a county in itself.
It's a county in and of itself.
Now,
yes.
people are talking about merging the city and county. If that merge came about, would that make your office go away?
Well, I don't know about what would happen in terms of the structure, but what I know in the meantime, what we can do is collaborate.
Okay.
We can collaborate services, and I understand that there's some collaboration going on with the development, economic development, and that is a strong collaboration between the city and the county. And I think that what we need to also look at is a strong collaboration for public safety.
Okay.
The police and fire should look at how to collaborate better, even the 911 system, so that there's a seamless, when a person picks up a call, the phone to call 911, they shouldn't be asked, is this the city or the county? Sure. They should say, you know, where are you, what do you need? And then they dispatch based on the collaborative system that has been put in place. Because we are a small city inside of a region that's a large region.
You know, I see this wonderful thing that you brought with us, making a difference. How can one reach you and support you?
Well, I can be reached by phone, 314-609-6559.
Okay.
Or I can be reached through my website, green4comptroller.com. And I would encourage people to vote on March 4th as well as April 8th. I humbly ask that people vote for me for re-election.
Sure, it's March the 4th.
March the 4th.
Okay, now, some of the things that you mentioned too, you opposed the airport privatization and spurred $2.8 billion airport expansion, creating over 1,000 construction jobs.
Absolutely.
Tell us about that.
I did fight against privatization, and we won. The airport is owned by the city. It's well managed. Their credit has increased, and now they're able to invest $2.8 billion to expand our terminal, to renovate it, expand it, and make it a world-class airport. We are the largest airport, the busiest airport in the state, and we have the flying public coming through here, and they have actually increased the amount of folks coming through here since 2019. And so we have the wherewithal to build out our terminal. You're going to add the Terminal 1 and Terminal 2 is going to become, they're going to be combined because Southwest Airlines continues to grow and continues to want to be located here in St. Louis in a big, big way.
Okay. Also, you save the taxpayers over $150 million through refinancing debt.
Yes, I look at the debt that we have, and I want to always make sure that we are refinancing when we can. So when you refinance, that lowers the costs, as well as sometimes if you need to balance the budget, we can pull dollars out in order to add it to our budget to balance when we're in down markets.
I'm going to skip down to another thing here. It says supports higher pay for workers, increasing affordable housing, supporting small businesses, and reducing crime.
Absolutely. Those are my things that I advocate about all the time, reducing our crime, supporting affordable housing, and making sure that we can balance our budget and give raises for our public safety personnel as well as the other city workers.
Why
Absolutely.
do you care?
I care because I come from where everybody else comes from. And what I mean by that, I come from public housing. Some other people may come from other different neighborhoods, but what that is we come from around the way. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
And then we meet and give our best to the people. You know, I have a gift. Lots of people have gifts, and it's up to us to use those in the way that we see that we have them. And mine really has been to serve. And I've been educated at Washington University. I have a bachelor's degree in business administration, and I've used it working public as well as private. But public is what I have been, my desire is to continue to serve. And I want to keep doing that.
My guest is Darlene Green, Controller for the City of St. Louis, and we're talking about her re-election and how important it is to vote this coming March. With Darlene Green after this.
Behind me is the New Life Evangelistic Center administrative offices in Overland, Missouri. And this is where we shoot our shows for our worship shows and the Here's Help Network. And it's also where Zakid Baroudi and Bernie Hayes shoot their shows. You can find all of these shows at the New Life Evangelistic Center app, the NLEC TV app. You can also access them on your tablet or on your computer. And this is how you can stay up to date with all the things that New Life Evangelistic Center is doing. There are so many different programs that we've got going on, and God is doing many exciting things through partners like you. So if you want to support the work that New Life is doing, then please access and give through the app. You can go online at nlecstl.org or give us a call at 314-421-3020. Again, 314-421-3020. But this is the best way to get plugged into the amazing work that New Life is doing through people like you. And so there is something for you to get involved in today. And we are so thankful for our partners. Only through the grace of God and your gift are we able to bless others today.
Today's subject, Claudette Colvin, civil rights activist in Alabama during the 50s. She refused to give her seat on the bus long before Rosa Parks. She was born in 1939 in Montgomery, Alabama. She refused to give up her bus seat to a white passenger. She was arrested and became one of 4 plaintiffs in Browder versus Gale, which ruled that Montgomery's segregated bus system was unconstitutional. Colvin was arrested on several charges, including violating the city's segregation laws, and for several hours she sat in jail completely terrified. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People briefly considered using Colvin's case to challenge the segregation laws, but they decided against it because of her age. Colvin moved to New York City and worked as a nurse's aide. She retired in 2004. Claudette Colvin, civil rights pioneer.
But this is what the Lord Almighty, and this is what he says in Zechariah 7:9. Administer true justice, show mercy and compassion to one another. Psalm chapter 10, verse 18, to do justice to the fatherless and oppressed, so that the man who's of the earth may not terrify them anymore. Isaiah 1:17, learn to do right, seek justice, relieve the oppressed, and correct the oppressor, defend the fatherless, and plead for the widow. Jeremiah 22, verse 3, thus saith the Lord, execute justice and righteousness, and deliver out of the hand of the oppressor him who has been robbed. And do no wrong, do no violence to the stranger, the homeless, the temporary resident, the fatherless, and the widow, nor shed innocent blood in this place.
And welcome back. My guest is the Controller for the City of St. Louis, Darlene Green. Ms. Green, we hear about all this RAM money from the Rams to do this money, to do that money. You were significant in getting that money
Oh,
for
yes,
us. Tell us about that. Tell
I
us how-
voted to sue the Rams, and we won. And so we did get the large windfall, and now we're talking about how to spend that money. I think that we need to be looking at how to serve the people the best. There's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be upgraded. Rebirthing North St. Louis is a high priority of mine. Continuing to support downtown infrastructure is a priority of mine, because the downtown civic community has said they will match any dollar that is given to the downtown from these Rams dollars. So that's important because that leverages the money. So in other words, if we give them 50 million, they'll turn that 50 into 100 million to be invested in the downtown. And so we want to do that because, we want to make sure we're stretching our dollars and using them for the benefit of businesses, and large and small as well.
Before we go, because I don't have that much time left, I know how strong your faith is. Tell us about your faith.
Well, I grew up in a Baptist church. I still am a Baptist. I have a cousin who's several cousins that is a Baptist ministers throughout the United States. But here in St. Louis, I have a cousin that's a Baptist minister, and I attend his church when I can. And I have a strong faith. I believe in God Almighty, and Jesus Christ. I do.
Okay. Well, once again, how we can reach you and help you.
Well, I would say let's keep St. Louis in the green.
Okay.
That's how you can help me, by voting March the 4th and voting April the 8th, and continue to know that, Comptroller Darlene Green will continue to make a difference.
How can we reach you?
By phone, 314-609-6559, and by website, greenforcomptroller.com.
Okay. It says you oppose Proposition B that would have weakened the budget process, and voters overwhelmingly agreed. What does that mean?
Well, that means that we put 4 charter amendments on the ballot this past fall, and out of the 4, Proposition B failed because it would have weakened our budget process by allowing the aldermen to add and subtract from the budget. Right now they can subtract, which gives us a great collaboration between the aldermen and the Board of Estimate and Apportionment and the budget director. But if they add and subtract, that would have weakened that process. And so it failed. It was the only proposition that failed. Proposition B, like bad. It was a bad proposition for the city of St. Louis. My opponent, Barringer, voted for it. And that gives you an idea of somebody that's not really in step with the city finances. And so the whole city voted no in a majority. The majority vote was a no. And it was the only proposition that failed. And that's important to know when you're looking at, who should I vote for? Should I vote for somebody that's tried and true, like Darlene Green, or should I vote for something new?
So tell us why we should vote for you.
Well, they should vote for me because I have worked and made a difference and will continue to make a difference, especially protecting taxpayer dollars. Right now, when you've got the ARPA monies that needs to be spent in the next 2 years, I have made sure that I promote the small businesses in St. Louis that was in business before COVID. And I want to make sure that they are not overlooked. So now we pull back $5 million that would have otherwise gone to empty lots or abandoned buildings. That money can come back and go in a large way to protecting the long-term small businesses in the city with COVID relief. I am going to promote that they would receive $100,000 and no less, because with $5 million, you can at least get 48 to 49 or 50 even grants that would support the small businesses.
Thank you, Darlene Green. Thank you so very, very much. And we can, once again, give us your phone number.
314-609-6559.
And
that's how you can reach Darlene Green.
greenforcomptroller.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. And thank you for supporting the New Life Evangelistic Center. We're at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. Reverend Larry Rice has been here more than 53 years helping those in need. I'm Bernie Hayes. Have a great day. Until next time.